You ready?
Oh, shit.
Yeah, we're recording.
Yeah, man.
How you doing?
Wait. How do I look now?
So cool. That Serpentor's so cool. Look at the Serpentor, Joel. It's so
Look
cool.
at it. 150.
So cool.
Fuck.
150. That's not the actual Serpentor. It's not the first Serpentor.
I was watching that G.I. Joe movie there.
Go check that camera to make sure it still looks good. It looks a little uneven to me, but I think it's okay.
Where am I at? This is facing away now.
Yes, it should be.
Yeah, it looks good.
Okay.
I don't see me.
I don't.
All right,
Again, you don't know how this works.
All right.
Okay.
Hoo-ah!
Hoo-ah!
Hoo-ah! Shit, hell of an ass! Hoo-ah!
Hi,
Hey.
I'm Cash.
I'm Joe.
Oh yeah, it is just your real name. You just use your real name. You're out here just raw dogging with your real name.
Call me J-Rock.
No.
J-Tron.
Okay. All right, I'm Cash. That's J-Tron. I'll go with that. I like that. We're back with our story. I hope you guys.
It's like I'm a robot.
So cool.
So cool.
Hope you guys had a good Thanksgiving. And now Christmas is coming up. We're just jumping in right before your holidays. That's what we do now. So
slide in between the holidays.
Slide right in between them holidays. If you guys haven't listened yet, our last episode is out where we discuss the just ridiculous shenanigan-filled voyage of the Baltic Fleet.
Yeah.
Back during the Russo-Japanese War. Sounds boring.
Them dummies.
It's a good story. And I got another story today that's involved. Look, just because the main character of this story happens to be a young, attractive Italian guy, and he just so happens to commit a crime,
Luigi,
with purpose.
Luigi.
That's we're just doing this story. We're talking about a different fella,
right.
but oh, Luigi, why you do this to your mama?
No current topic.
I hope Super Mario Brothers Nintendo is watching, and they've realized that the sequel to the Super Mario Brothers movie that came out needs to be a courtroom drama.
Oh.
Where right at the very end, right before
Mario.
Luigi's about to be, found guilty or whatever, Mario busts in and he's like, "It wasn't Luigi, it was me, I'm Mario."
Oh,
and then he takes a mushroom, gets really big, and blows up the
Starts
courtroom.
singing "I Shot the Sheriff."
Yeah.
But I did not shoot the deputy.
What a time. What a time we live in.
Cool.
This story's definitely got some similarities, but not quite. So, let's get into it.
Everything's shit.
Let's get into this.
Yeah, let's get into it.
So, at some point in the 1960s, airplane hijackings became sort of a fad in the United States. At the peak of this fad, a plane was held up on average once every 6 days in the United States. In more than a few instances, the hijackers themselves became romanticized and turned into folk heroes of sorts by people following along with the news of their escapades. Today's story is about one of those folk heroes.
All right.
In the 60s, airport security was not quite what it is today. It was shockingly easy to just walk on board with on an airplane with a gun or a bomb.
Nice.
Hijackings were also treated as more of an annoyance than anything
these guys
else.
again?
Yeah. Airlines and flight crews found it easier to just give in to the hijackers' demands.
Like sometimes you leave like 30 minutes early for traffic, like maybe leave 45 minutes early for traffic and hijacking.
Yeah. We don't know.
One out of every 6 or
like
something?
we might get to where you're going, but if this place gets hijacked, we're going wherever. So they just kind of found it easier just to give in to the hijackers' demands more often than not and like improve security. In 1972, for example, a Vietnam veteran named Roger Holder and a 20-year-old girl named Kathy Kirkow hijacked a Western Airlines flight to Seattle, and they were able to escape to Algeria with over $500,000 in ransom money.
Wow.
They would later be arrested, though, in 1975 on illegal entry charges in France. At some point, though, the guy got extradited back to America. No one knows what happened to her.
Oh.
She got out, like she ran or something.
Maybe.
I don't know. So typically, hijackers would go to.
I feel like if you commit a crime, like go one place, stay.
Yeah. Well, as long as it's like a really good hiding place.
I don't know. Yeah, that'd be a lot.
You might want to just change your location a lot.
I don't know.
Typically, hijackers would go to Cuba expecting a warm welcome.
Cigars.
What is it?
Cigars.
But that was rarely the case. Fidel Castro was not a fan of this thinking. Castro viewed them as dangerous and delusional and figured that they were either psychopaths...
Listen, Cuba doesn't need dangerous or delusional.
No. He figured they were either delusional psychopaths or CIA spies.
Yeah.
Even when hijackers did make it to Cuba, they were routinely interrogated by security forces and either sent to chop sugarcane in work gulags or thrown onto the streets with nothing. Happy endings were rare for hijackers, and their stories were often, but this guy we're going to talk about, he could have got a few happy endings. They were more often than not run-of-the-mill and procedural in nature. That was not the case for the person at the center of our story, Raffaele Minichiello.
Okay.
Whose hijacking was anything rather than run-of-the-mill.
What about the other three turtles?
Leonardo, Michelangelo, and Donatello.
You can do that voice?
Nowhere to be found. I'd turn into a little
Christopher
Walker. So his would go down as the longest and most spectacular hijacking in American history.
Who's the judge spectacular? Longest is something you can judge, but spectacular?
Well, that's why we're going to do the story. And then at the end of the story, you can tell me.
But I don't know other stories to compare this to.
I told you one more, I guess.
Okay.
So, I told you that one about the couple.
Yeah.
So that gets, that's what you're going.
Out of these two!
And then, of course, like, hijacking-wise, like, wouldn't, what's the dude that, D.B. Cooper?
Yeah.
I guess that would be...
Did he hijack?
Or
did he just parachute out, supposedly?
I think kind of both. I think he kind of, yeah.
Good for him.
So, Raffaele was born in Melito Arpino, Italy.
Italy?
In November of 1949. Due to the war, conditions were tumultuous, and Raffaele grew up in a poor family. He was a poor boy from a poor family.
Yeah. Him and his life.
On August 21st, I'm real good at reading, guys. Serpentor's so cool. On August 21st, 1962, a fault ruptured and the earth began shaking where Raffaele lived. The 6.1 magnitude quake in the early evening was enough to frighten everyone, but there were two powerful aftershocks that did quite a bit of damage. 20 kilometers up from the epicenter and a few hundred meters north was where the Minichiello family lived, including 12-year-old Raffaele.
I've never been in an earthquake.
I haven't either.
That'd be kind of, I don't know.
By the time the third
earthquake...
earthquake... Yeah, all of your stuff would fall.
Fuck.
Yeah. You can never live in California with all your stuff. By the time the third earthquake had subsided, their village of Melito Arpino was uninhabitable.
No one could live there.
No one could live there. Couldn't inhabit it.
No.
The Minichiello family were left with nothing, and no one in authority came to help. The damage was such that almost the entire village was evacuated, razed, and rebuilt. Many families would return, but the Minichiellos decided to move to the U.S. for a better life.
Fuck this.
They settled in Seattle.
California. Where were earthquakes?
Yeah.
Seattle, I don't know. Probably, I imagine earthquakes in Seattle.
Yeah, probably. I mean, you probably feel tremors or something.
Rain.
A lot of that.
Tell you that
a lot of that.
Tell you that much. A lot of rain.
A lot of Sean Kemps.
A lot of rain. Rick Meyer.
Gary Payton, the glove.
Joey Galloway.
Mm-hmm. We could just sit here all day.
Yeah.
Russ.
Well,
in general, the family's lives...
Kevin Durant was drafted to Seattle, but then they quickly went...
Aren't they bringing the Sonics back soon?
I think they are.
Isn't that a thing?
Yeah, like the first year or two of Kevin Durant, he was a Sonic in Seattle.
Yeah.
You know, people want to forget about that. I'm not going to let
people want to forget.
Kevin Durant, if you're watching, I remember.
That's all people want.
Drafted in Seattle.
The only thing
there
people
at
want
least a year.
is to forget that Kevin Durant was
Never forget. Is that being used? Can I use that? Never forget?
I don't think so.
That's catchy.
Yeah, it is catchy.
Never forget.
Ever.
Kevin Durant, Seattle.
Never
Supersonics.
In general.
Randy Johnson. King Griffey Jr.
Go ahead.
Alex Rodriguez drafted Joey Cora.
Uh-huh.
Geno Smith.
You done?
Yeah.
Okay.
Never forget.
Okay. In general, the family's lives improved once they were in Seattle, but Raffaele, who spoke very little English, struggled in his new home. He was picked on and bullied in school, Due to his accent and poor grasp of the English language, he grew up touchy and sensitive to being slighted. Just over.
I mean, no one's really pumped about being slighted.
Yeah, and that would ultimately
got me again.
That would ultimately be the driving force behind his claim to infamy.
All right.
So,
slight me once, shame on you. Slight me twice.
I'm gonna hijack a fucking plane.
I'm gonna be infamous.
Mm-hmm. So, dressed in camouflage, Raffaele Minichiello stepped onto the plane.
Dressed in camouflage.
Yeah, dressed in camo, baby.
So is it plane camouflage? Was he covered in like plane seats?
We'll get to it. He had
like a stewardess. That's how that'd be plane camouflage.
He had
Ain't any trees up on a fucking plane. I've been on a plane. Not once have I seen a plant or a tree.
It all makes sense. A $15.50 ticket from Los Angeles to San Francisco. That's all it cost.
Not bad.
Was in his hand. This was the last stop on Trans World Airlines Flight 85's journey across the United States, which had started several hours earlier in Baltimore before calling at St. Louis and Kansas City. The crew of 3 in the cockpit were helped by 4 young female flight attendants, most of whom had been...
Give me a drink, babe!
whom had been in the job for only a few months. The most experienced was Charlene Delmonico, a bob-haired 23-year-old from Missouri who had been flying with the airline for 3 years. Delmonico had swapped shifts to fly on TWA 85 as she wanted Halloween night free. She wasn't even supposed to be there today.
No, that's the end of a cross-country flight.
Yeah. But she wasn't even supposed to be there.
In 1960?
We'll get to the date.
Okay.
Before leaving Kansas City,
keep close to the best.
Captain David Cook, 31, had informed the flight attendants...
Well, how's his hair? We had to know that the stewardess was a bobbed hair beauty or whatever.
I'm going to assume shitty-haired Captain Donald Cook,
good haircut.
age 31.
Good haircut.
He is a pilot. He's probably got a good haircut.
Yeah, he probably does.
Either a good haircut or
slick back.
One of the two.
Slick back, watered steaks.
He informed the flight attendants of a change in the usual practice. If they wanted to enter the cockpit, they were to ring a bell outside the door and not knock. Don't be knocking, babe. The flight landed in Los Angeles late at night. Passengers disembarked and others, bleary-eyed, joined the short night flight to San Francisco. The lights were dimmed so that those who had stayed on board could continue sleeping. The flight attendants checked the passengers' tickets when they boarded quietly, but Delmonico paid particular attention to one of the new arrivals.
Not the camouflage fella.
Especially his bag. The tanned young man in camouflage.
How was his hair?
Wavy brown.
Oh, it says it?
Yeah.
Nice.
His wavy brown hair.
Fuck, dude, if I ever got described in a story, this bald-headed fuck, his head is shiny. His head is shiny as a cue ball.
He was nervous but polite as he boarded. A thin container protruded from his backpack. Delmonico moved towards the first-class compartment where her colleagues Tanya Novikov and Roberta Johnson, no indication of what their hair looked like, were guiding passengers to their seats.
Well, they didn't deserve it. They're not the most experienced. That comes with the most experience, getting your hair described.
Delmonico asked them, what was that thing sticking out of that young man's backpack? And they answered, we think a fishing rod. You know,
definitely not.
Yeah, you're going to be fishing up here.
Yeah.
The flight was...
You don't want to be seen, so you're going to wear camouflage.
The flight was far from busy. Only 40 passengers on board. There was room for everyone to spread out and seek their own row in which to sleep.
Oh, nice.
That'd be awesome. The only time I've ever flown.
I would still go sit next to somebody.
Yeah. Hey, babe.
He's like, what? What'd you call me?
I'm like, babe. Among them were the 5 mop-top members of the sunshine pop group Harper's Bazaar.
Harper's Bazaar.
How bizarre.
Does the show say like they have any songs, hit songs?
Yeah, I think we get into a couple of their songs. They were exhausted after a concert in Pasadena that night that had been temporarily halted by a man screaming from the balcony of the auditorium. It had been...
Free bird! Is that what he was yelling?
Yeah, I'm sure. It had been 2 years since the band's biggest hit, an adaptation of Simon and Garfunkel's the 59th Street Bridge song, Feelin' Groovy.
Okay.
But they would hit the peak of their flame just a few hours later.
Peak of their flames?
Boom.
Oh, shit.
Singer-guitarist...
Now that's rock and roll.
What do you think the singer-guitarist's name was?
Leo Spikowski.
You almost got the last part right.
Oh, cool.
Dick Scapatone.
All right, Dix.
And drummer John Peterson settled on the left-hand side of the
What do you
plane.
do when your Dix gets too fat? Does it say there?
You Scotapatone it.
With your fat dicks?
Yeah, you Scotapatone it.
Hey.
Hey, I'm trying to Scotapatone my dick here, man.
Can you knock, babe? Ring the bell, babe. Don't knock.
But they were chilling in their seats. They lit cigarettes.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a cigarette smoker.
But
man, to be smoking, flying in the plane.
So at 1:30
Tell me shit.
So at 1:30 on Friday, October 31st, 1969, TWA
I thought the
flight...
chick was... Oh, so she was... It was probably the beginning of Halloween, so she was going to land.
Oh,
You
yeah.
gotta get your sleep, babe.
Yeah,
Like, what
are you doing, babe?
does she think? She's running herself too
I
fucking
didn't
around
catch
in
that,
here.
but like, yeah, what is she...
Yeah, she's like flying across country to have that day off when she lands. Like, when are you going to sleep?
Oh, so wait, was this the morning, though?
That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying. This has
okay.
to be the morning. She switched shifts to get Halloween off.
Oh, yeah.
She's running herself too... She's 23.
She's 23. She's fine.
She's 23.
Bob
She's
hair.
all right.
She's fine. She's good.
Yeah. You good, babe?
So, so they left 1:30 on Friday. TWA Flight 85 left Los Angeles for San Francisco. 15 minutes into the flight, the hijack began.
I mean, you might get home at 3, 4, 5 in the morning, I guess. Sleep a little bit. Yeah, you'd be all right.
Los Angeles to San Francisco?
I can't be more than like an hour, but still, you gotta get everyone off. I'm sure there's protocol. You're not gonna just get right home.
Yeah, but-
She doesn't get off with the passengers
I
in
don't
her
know.
car
I
and
don't
drive
know,
home.
man. That's not the story.
That's the fucking story!
Her Halloween adventure is not our
What
story.
has she got going on? Is she gonna go as a stewardess?
Do we just make something up?
She should
No,
go
not
as a
make it happen.
stewardess, though, right?
She was going to go as Serpentor because Serpentor is so cool. She's
Does
going to
she have
go
all, does she have all the accessories?
all the accessories, still
Oh,
on card.
babe, all of them?
On card, unpunched.
All right, get to the
So cool.
Get to the hijacking, I guess.
So,
I mean, you gotta get at least 6 hours sleep, though, is what I'm saying, if you're gonna wake up and party.
that's you.
I think that...
You're a 40-something-year-old bald man.
Oh, that's what the story's gonna be.
She's a 23-year-old bob-haired girl.
We got 4 hours of sleep.
She's fine.
She's up on YouTube
It's
too late.
1969. She's got Coke.
Oh, yeah.
She's fine. There's a band on board. They got Coke.
There's probably like a time difference. There's probably like actually 8 hours in the future when she.
Yeah, probably Los Angeles and San Francisco. That's
That was
definitely...
cross country too, though. I'm saying so. She started in like 2 different time zones away.
Okay.
That's next week. Come back next week. We're gonna have the complete story about this.
Yeah.
Stewardess. I'm gonna take a deep dive.
I want to make that shit
You
up.
know I won't do it.
No, you won't.
I won't.
I'd be more likely to write a full 12-page story made up about this woman's
I think you should. Just what happened. What would happen if it wasn't hijacked and she was able to get home? So I'm sure the hijack too. Remember, you got 45 minutes for hijacking. 30
If you're
minutes
out there
for
listening,
hijacking.
this is a lot longer than 45
Oh
minutes.
shit!
If you're out there listening or watching and you want to hear the story of this 23-year-old bob-haired girl's Halloween adventures, you let us know.
If she wasn't hijacked.
Oh, I'll include the hijacking. That'll just be...
All right. I'm just wondering, like, best case scenario, if everything went right, this chick's getting home 5, 6 in the morning. She probably has to fucking feed the cat. You know she has a cat.
I've already got ideas spinning.
Like,
how to make this work.
Does she have a costume? Does she have time to get a costume? She's going to go as a stewardess?
We'll get there.
Is the party at her place?
We'll come back
Is
to
she
that.
going somewhere
We'll come back to
else?
that next episode.
All right.
Okay, so to boost the plane's thrust, the Boeing 707 injected water into the engines as it took off.
Water?
Which I guess is a thing. Earning it the industry nickname the Water Wagon. I don't want to fly on the water wagon. I'm like, because I feel like you're telling me that this runs on water, and I know that's not how planes work.
Yeah.
The effect,
Tell me how they work.
the effect
If you
is
know they don't run on water, how do they work?
fuel.
Maybe it's water fuel.
Nothing. The effect inside the plane was violent and noisy, producing an ominous deep rumble. Perfect for Halloween night.
Yeah.
Darkness fell inside the plane as the flight attendants turned the lights almost all the way down. Set the mood, baby.
Yeah.
Set the mood, babe.
Come on, babe.
As silence settled,
Set the mood, babe.
Charlene DeMonico began tidying the galley in the back of the plane with Tracy Coleman, a 21-year-old languages graduate who had joined TWA only 5 months earlier.
What are her Halloween plans?
I don't know.
Fuck!
All clear. The nervous passenger in camouflage from earlier stepped into the galley and stood alongside them. He had an M1 rifle in his hand, not a fishing pole.
Oh.
Delmonico, calm and professional, responded simply, "You're not supposed to have that."
Excuse me, sir, but is there a lot on the plane?
I think we have a rule against that.
Let me check.
He responded by handing her
The gun?
No.
Oh, what if that was it?
A 7.62 millimeter bullet to prove that the rifle was loaded, which doesn't prove it's loaded. If you're handing me the bullets, I'd like, do you need this?
Yeah, if this is here, what's in there?
So is this your only one? I need to know how many you had when you came in.
I would throw it so hard, it would actually...
Into him?
Yeah, it would go off like a gun.
Yeah, you got that kind of arm.
Fuck yeah.
And then he ordered her to lead him to the cockpit so he could show it to the crew.
Okay.
Like, I just got these cool things. They're very cool.
I'll trade you these for a set of those little pilot wings.
Dick Scapatone was drifting off to sleep, but the movement further down the aisle aroused him.
Ooh.
Out of the corner of his eye,
What?
he saw Delmonico roused, not aroused.
Okay.
You weirdo.
I was like, this is what I'm into.
Out of the corner of the eye, he saw...
He's like, wait. Go slower. Slower.
He saw Charlene Delmonico being followed by a man who was pointing a rifle at her back. His bandmate, John Peterson, turned him a few rows in front, stared wide-eyed. Is this really happening? Is this really happening, mate?
I bet they wrote a song.
Like,
is this really happening right now? The man with the gun's gonna take us down. Because they're flying.
I get it.
Yeah.
Is this really happening now? Towards the back of the plane, one of the passengers, Jim Finley, got up to confront Minichiello.
From Cleveland.
The hijacker turned around, and he shouted to Delmonico, "Halt!" And Delmonico thought, this man must be a soldier.
Halt.
She's adorable. She's adorable, babe.
Babe!
With Finley, he was a soldier, though, so she is right.
I mean, he's in camouflage. He's giving all the signs.
With Finley ordered back to his seat, Delmonico and Minichiello moved up the cabin again. She pushed the curtains aside to enter the first-class compartment, her knees buckling under the nerves, and alerted the two flight attendants ahead of her. "There's a man behind me with a gun." They both moved quickly out of the way.
He's not supposed to have that! Did you tell him?
He gave me the bullet?
Give them each a bullet!
Yeah. I only have two more. They're both loaded. Well, they need them.
Yeah, prove it.
Shit.
Let's see it.
Okay. Some of the passengers heard Minichiello shout at Delmonico as he became more and more agitated near the cockpit door. For the most part, though, he was polite, respectful, and came across, in her words, as a nice, clean-cut kid. But by now, paranoia was getting the better.
Hijacking aside.
Hijacking aside.
Yeah, aside.
This is the best damn flight I've ever had. Delmonico remembered the captain's instructions. Don't knock to enter, ring the bell instead.
So she knocked.
But Minichiello, afraid he was being tricked, refused to let her do this. You're not going to get one on him.
See, I would have knocked to let them know. Like...
Which, yeah. She knocked instead and hoped this would alert the crew.
Oh, okay.
The door opened, and Delmonico told the wary crew there was a man with a gun behind her.
They still opened the door. They're like, what the fuck, babe? I said, ring the bell.
What I say, babe? Ring the bell, babe.
Yeah, why'd they even...
Ain't that hard.
You still gotta learn if you don't open it.
Minichiello stepped inside and pointed the rifle at each of the three men inside the cockpit. Captain Cook, First Officer Winslow Williams, and Flight Engineer Lloyd Hollerall.
What if Will Chamberlain was there, like an airplane?
Yeah. Minichiello appeared to be well-trained and well-armed, Williams thought. He knew what he wanted from the crew and was determined to get it.
I want those little wings you give kids.
That's all.
I'm a pilot.
After Delmonico had stepped out of the cockpit, Minichiello turned to the crew and said in a heavily accented English, "Turn towards New York." They're in California.
Yeah, it's...
The unusual sight of a man walking through the plane with a gun had not gone unnoticed by those passengers.
Oh! Hey, do you see that?
I didn't see anything. You were looking right at it. Not my business.
I was looking down.
The members of Harper's Bazaar
He's in camouflage.
had all raced to sit next to one another within seconds of the gunman passing by. Their strange evening had just gotten stranger. They speculated how the man might have been able to sneak a rifle on the plane. And where could they be going? Hong Kong, maybe? They'd never been to Hong Kong. That might be fun.
What?
Nearby, Judy Provence, her training kicked in. She was an off-duty TWA flight attendant She was returning.
She started getting everyone drinks.
Yeah.
Like trading pictures.
She was returning home to San Francisco after 8 days.
What was her Halloween plans?
I don't know yet. On rotation, flying around Asia.
Oh.
Every year, she and TWA staff would undertake training in how to respond during emergencies, including hijackings. The main lesson they had been taught was to stay calm. Another was...
relax.
Don't do it.
Yep.
Another one... this is great. Another one was to not fall in love with the hijacker.
Oh.
It was easy, they've been told.
There's a reason that's a rule. It's happened enough times.
They said it was easy because hijackers typically are able to elicit sympathy from the crew. So don't be falling in love.
That should be a dating app. Hijacked or something.
So Judy quietly mentioned to those around her that she had seen someone walking down the
aisle. We do not recommend you try that.
Judy,
going on a plane to try to find love that way.
No. Judy's sitting there, whatever you guys do not fall in love.
Yeah.
Don't. I don't care how handsome he is, and he is handsome.
But you can tell he's smuggling a salami in there.
You're already falling in love with Judy.
I can fix him.
She had been taught not to cause panic and to help manage the situation calmly. Jim Finley, the man who had previously tried to
tell the men not to fall in love too.
Well,
maybe Jim from Cleveland.
Harper's Bazaar is already they're smitten. Harper's smitten, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So the guy who tried to intervene, Jim Finley, he was a TWA pilot deadheading on board as a passenger. He found the hijackers' bags and went through them to look for clues to his identity and to make sure no more weapons were on board. Only later did the passengers find rifle magazines full of bullets.
Oh.
Captain Cook's voice came over the loudspeaker. Quote, "We have a very..." It sounds like what he says is the same way
speaking.
He would say, like, we have a
little bit of turbulence.
We have a little boy up here. It's his birthday today. Like, he says, we have a very... Yeah, let's do it like so.
There's your captain speaking.
We have a very nervous young man up here. And we're going to take him wherever he wants to go. As the flight moved further and further...
Some of you may have noticed the man with the gun.
Don't fall in love with him. As the flight moved further and further from San Francisco...
We did tell him he's not supposed to have that.
Other messages were communicated to the passengers or started spreading among them. They were headed to Italy, Denver, Cairo, Cuba. They didn't know, but they were excited. The crew inside the cockpit feared for their lives, but some of the passengers felt they were part of an adventure. Like, where are we going?
Yeah.
It was only natural that people on board TWA-85 thought they might be heading to Cuba, since that was typically where hijackers would go.
Yeah.
But
they don't want you.
Let me see. We already did that.
You got paper and everything.
Yeah. From the early 60s, a number of Americans disillusioned with their homeland and entranced by the promise of a communist ideal had fled to Cuba following Fidel Castro's revolution. So, as American planes did not normally fly to the island, hijacking gave people the means of getting there. So, how do you get there?
Yeah.
And by accepting hijackers from the U.S., Castro could embarrass and annoy his enemy while demanding money to return the planes. A 3-month period in 1961 heralded the start of the hijacking phenomenon. On May 1st, Antulio Ramirez Ortiz boarded a National Airlines flight from Miami under a false name, seized control of the plane by threatening the captain with a steak knife. He demanded to be flown to Cuba, where he wanted to warn Castro of a plot to kill him that had been wholly imagined by Ramirez himself. 2 more hijackings followed.
An email.
Over the phone.
This hijacking could have been an email.
I hope this finds you well. And the next 11 years saw 159 commercial flights hijack the United States.
Now they got their with air marshals on board.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even try it.
Well, no.
I mean,
it's
no matter how
definitely going to go a different way
and how much you're looking for love, don't hijack.
Nobody's going to think that we're like, we're on an adventure. Where we're going? They're all like, we're flying into a building.
Yeah.
Hijackings that ended in Cuba were so common that at one point, U.S. airline captains were given maps of the Caribbean and Spanish language guides in case they had to unexpectedly fly to Havana. A direct phone line was set up between Florida air traffic controllers and Cuba, and there was even a suggestion that a replica of Havana's airport be built in Florida to fool hijackers into
Oh,
thinking
yeah.
they had
You
reached
just
Cuba.
fly around for a couple hours. Woo! Finally made it to Cuba.
It's crazy here.
We're going to land right beside the Dolphins football stadium here.
Yeah, you don't.
Why would Cuba build one of those?
You don't know about the Cuba Dolphins?
Yeah.
The Havana Dolphins. The hijackings were able to happen because of a lack of security at airports. There was simply no need to check passengers' luggage at that time because nothing had ever really happened.
Yeah.
That was until the hijackings began. For years after that, the airline industry resisted introducing checks because they feared it would ruin the passenger experience. Like, where's that America?
Live and let live, man. You want to bring a gun on
the airline was worried about the passenger's experience?
They didn't want to search them too much.
That's amazing, though.
Now they take like an x-ray of your body.
I feel like it was probably more to do with, if they have to do that as well, that means they probably have to hire additional staff.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it was out of the goodness of
And there had to have been some instances where like someone was smuggling drugs on a plane that got hijacked. They're just like, oh fuck.
I'm sure a lot of times.
Yeah. No, but I mean, like, then they're worried that they're going to get busted because this.
Oh, you mean somebody else?
Yeah, somebody else is like the one that they get hijacked.
You're talking to hijacker, like, this is not the best way. Can you hold this shit?
I'm kind of on your side.
Yeah, like, whatever you need from me, but, like, if this goes down, you're taking the rap of this shit. You made me hold this, remember? It would later emerge that Raffaele Minichiello had disassembled his rifle and carried it onto the flight in a tube before putting the gun back together in the plane's bathroom. Taking it on board would have been very easy, though. Getting it through even that tube would have been easy, because the only thing they really did was they would weigh the backpack. They wouldn't check it. They just needed to know, because how much weight do we have on the flight. Yeah. By the time TWA 85 was held up, there had already been 54 hijackings in the U.S. in 1969 at a rate of 1 every 6 days.
Wow.
But no one had ever hijacked a plane in the U.S. and taken it to another continent. The crew was getting mixed messages from the jittery passenger. He wanted to go to New York or maybe Rome.
I'm deciding still.
If they're
have a plan. You're not going into the drive-thru window at McDonald's.
All people
I'll figure it out when I'm up there.
All too many sons of bitches do.
You gotta have a plan.
Know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Have the education for drive-thrus before you get into one.
Yeah.
We've talked about this.
We have.
If the destination was to be New York, though, that would be a problem because they didn't have enough fuel to get there. So they would have to stop at some point to get more. And if they were heading for Rome, there would be an even bigger obstacle. Nobody on board was qualified to fly internationally.
I mean, it's all air.
No, because
Rome air different. It's like a high at night.
If you're going over like the ocean, you have to be specifically trained on that because the ocean, like the horizon and stuff, makes it different. So like if you don't usually fly over an ocean and stuff like that, like you don't have that experience like that horizon. So it would change it.
Bring me the horizon. You don't know that. I feel like I can still fly across the ocean.
I feel like you couldn't fly 5 feet.
I could 5 feet, baby.
Could you land? That's the hard part.
Yeah, I've watched movies.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind then.
They're like, pull this and see that red button? Not yet, god damn it. And then flip those two things and red button now! And then you press the red button, then you push forward on the thing.
Oh, you're right. You got this.
You're like, hold on.
Yeah, you got this. So,
easy.
Where are we at here?
Bring me a drink, babe.
Eventually, Captain Cook was allowed into the cabin to talk to the passengers, and he said, "If you've made any plans to San Francisco, don't plan on keeping them because you're going to New York."
And that 23-year-old was like, "But I have."
He says it like he's on The Price is Right. Because you're going to New York. Oh, expenses paid trip. Yeah. Well, not really paid. Nothing. You're just going to be on this plane.
You might die.
After some negotiation,
fingers crossed not.
Minichiello agreed to let the captain land in Denver to take on enough fuel to reach the East Coast. While over Colorado, Cook alerted air traffic control for the first time that the plane had been hijacked. The plans soon changed. Minichiello would let the 39 other passengers get off in Denver, but he insisted that one of the flight attendants stay on board. A small debate broke out about who should stay. The hijacker's preference was DeMonico, whom he had led to the cockpit at gunpoint. Cook,
you kind of have a thing going. I point my gun at you.
I gave her a bullet.
Yeah.
She has a special piece of me. Cook wanted Roberta Johnson because he knew her the best out of all 4 of them.
Roberta's like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah. You don't know me?
Yeah.
What the fuck are you talking about? This is my first day.
No, I think you should get her right there.
As Delmonico began writing...
That time you knocked, I told you to ring the bell!
As Delmonico began... Yeah, she can't even follow the simple instructions. As Delmonico began writing a manifest of all the passengers on board, Tracy Coleman went up to the cockpit with coffee for the crew. When she stepped back out, she insisted to Delmonico, I'm going to go. Coleman... So she's going to go to New York.
Oh. Okay, I thought she was like, listen, I'm just going to go.
No, she's like, hey, I'm going to go.
You guys got this.
She had a boyfriend in New York. Oh. So she was like, I can just see him. Like,
this will be
perfect.
fine, this guy.
But Delmonico,
I got a gun.
But Delmonico knew that New York was not going to end up being the final destination. She said, you're not going to stay in New York. He can't stay there. He'll be arrested if he gets out there. He's going somewhere else. I don't know where, but he's going somewhere else. Coleman, in an interview with TWA Skyliner magazine, which I bet was just riveting, after the hijacking, said she knew what was at stake. Quote, it wasn't because I just wanted to go along for the ride, but it was feared that if one of the stewardesses didn't stay aboard, he may not let the passengers off in Denver. Minichiello had demanded that lights at Denver's Stapleton International Airport be turned off as the plane landed. He didn't want any surprises, and promised to release the passengers only...
So why would you turn the lights off? Then they could sneak up on you if they if they wanted to.
I mean, maybe the plane's lights?
Okay, I guess they can't see inside it for like...
Yeah, I think it's... Yeah.
Okay.
Not the airport.
Like, how would they land? We can't see shit!
His nerves apparently calming, the hijacker proved unexpectedly accommodating. He was a good dude.
Yeah.
While he was exiting, Jim Finley, the deadheading TWA pilot, which deadheading is like apparently...
I've heard that too.
Okay, so...
They can just fly for free, basically, if there's no...
And you're just kind of going wherever, I think?
Yeah, it's like because the deadhead is like you're just along for the ride.
Yeah.
On tour or whatever.
Shout
out Jerry Garcia!
So he realized...
the finger!
So this guy, the deadheader, realized that he had left behind a Halloween outfit he had bought in Hong Kong. He asked Minichiello if he could return to the back of the plane.
Was it John Mayer? Deadhead? He plays with the Dead now. John Mayer and the Dead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Never really a big Grateful Dead fan.
I'm a John Mayer fan.
I like John Mayer.
Hey, pretty good.
Not a big Grateful Dead.
No.
I don't like jam bands.
Yeah.
Just fucking play a song. Pick a song. God damn it, I don't have 46 minutes for you to figure some shit out.
Yeah.
Worst band I've ever seen live is Primus.
Oh, yeah, that was a rough one.
And he got what's his name, Les Claypool?
Yeah.
He got pissed because, which I don't blame him, but like some drunk asshole in the front in the, pit area or whatever, threw like 2 beer bottles and like one almost hit the drummer.
No.
So Les Claypool just like stops and he starts like
there was a racer driver.
He starts like telling the crowd like, this is why we don't like to play for you guys, because but the crowd had already like basically shoved that guy out to where security could get him, so like it was taken care of. And Les Claypool just sat there and threw a fit the whole time. Oh. And then for like fucking forever, they just they wouldn't
Seinfeld?
They wouldn't play anything. They all kept their backs towards the crowd.
Oh wow. Rock stars, man. They're looking for a new drummer. Open tryouts. You can do it.
Easy. Okay, so
have you seen Whiplash?
Mm-hmm.
That's a fucking good movie. Talking about drumming.
Great movie. Miles Teller
and J.K. Simmons.
Yeah.
He says some shit.
It's
on
rough.
J.K.
Yeah, it's rough. Is that the one he got jacked for?
Yeah.
J.K. Simmons.
Yeah, he's pretty jacked.
So. Yeah, so Finley asked if he could go back and get his Halloween outfit, and Minichiello just says, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
That's cool. So as the passengers filed off the plane in cold, foggy weather, with sunrise still 2 hours away, they were met by an unsmiling FBI agent in an overcoat. The relief among those allowed
That'd be weird if he was smiling. He was like really hyped.
Yeah.
You guys got hijacked? Fuck yeah, come on!
The relief was clear among those who had been released. And they were led down a darkened corridor through the terminal. At the end of the room...
shot in the head so they wouldn't tell?
At the end of the room, at the end was a room swarming with FBI agents who had rushed to the airport...
What if they were just like...
At short notice and were waiting to take statements from the 39 passengers and 3 flight attendants. The members of Harper's Bazaar remembered what their manager had once told them, If they were ever involved in any trouble, anything at all, they were to call him first.
Don't fall in love.
Even before they got to police station or hospital. As soon as they reached the terminal, they did just that, even though it was the middle of the night where he lived. The tactic paid off. When they had finished giving their statements, they stepped in another room and were greeted by the flash of camera bulbs, reporters shouting the band's names, and phones ringing as news outlets around the U.S. hoped to interview them to hear their story.
Oh, yeah.
It was the best publicity we ever had, by a mile, Dick Scapitone told BBC. The assembled photographers captured Yeah. Why can't I talk today, dude?
I don't know.
What's up, babe?
Babe!
The assembled photographers captured tired passengers slumped against walls. Other passengers smiled as they recounted what had happened. Some of them had fallen in love, you know?
Yeah.
They didn't know the rules. They weren't
This gorgeous guy in camouflage. I was like, is that gun in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me? It was a gun.
The 3 flight attendants gave statements to the FBI, and Charlene Delmonico's ran to 13 handwritten pages. After a day of interviews, she's going to miss her Halloween party for sure.
Man, she's in Denver.
After a day of interviews, all the flight attendants got home to Kansas City late in the evening as TV channels kept viewers updated as the hijack continued.
Kansas City?
Yeah. Delmonico settled in at home after more than a day without sleep. Later in the evening, her telephone rang. It was the FBI.
Is your telephone running?
You better
My refrigerator is.
Got you. It was the FBI. They wanted to know if they could come see her. That's a weird way to put that.
What's going on? You up?
You up? We met earlier. We just thought, like, if you're not doing anything, we're not doing anything.
FBI full body investigator.
They arrived later and handed her a photo. The image of Raffaele Minichiello looked back at her. Yes, that's him, she said.
This is it? This is why he came over? This could have been an email.
Yeah. You could have just described it. The 3-hour flight from Denver passed peacefully. Minichiello, stretched out in first class with a gun at his side, had calmed down. He poured himself an unusual cocktail from 2 miniature bottles. Canadian club whiskey and gin. Which...
we should try it.
I'll try it.
Yeah.
Oh,
what's his last name? We'll call it that.
Canadian whiskey. It's terrible, though.
Yeah.
Minichiello.
It's the Minichiello.
Is it Leo? No. Raffaele. He poured himself... oh, yeah. So he did that. Only 5 people remained on board. Captain Cook.
Y'all want a hit of this?
First officer
off.
Winslow Williams. Flight engineer Lloyd Hallraw. Flight attendant Tracy Coleman. And the hijacker himself. The plane landed at JFK Airport late in the morning. Or JFK Airport. Early in the morning. And late in the morning. And was parked as far from the terminal as possible. The order from the cockpit, like in Denver, was for as few people as possible to approach the plane. But the FBI was ready. And keen to stop the hijacker before he set a dangerous precedent and took a domestic flight to another continent. Close to 100 agents were waiting for TWA 85, many disguised as mechanics hoping to sneak on board. I like to picture that...
100 mechanics, predatory. Those are just mechanics.
We always have 100 of them.
It's just that's actually half of what we normally need.
But
we were like, this guy's crazy.
I like to imagine, though, that they had 100 mechanics outfits, but, like, say 175 agents were there.
Well, some were just carrying.
So some were janitors, like, in the airport doing doing janitorial work because they just needed to do something. Mm-hmm. And, like, after, like, the 8-hour shift, they're like, I don't think I want to be an FBI agent anymore. I really like cleaning.
It's a passion.
So, within minutes of the landing... as refueling was about to take place, the FBI started approaching the plane. Through the cockpit window, Cook spoke to one agent who wanted a reluctant Minichiello to come closer to the window to speak to them.
Closer. Oh, I can't hear. Closer.
Winslow Williams would later tell the BBC, 50 years later.
BBC?
You know.
British Broadcasting Company.
Oh, yeah. He said Raffaele was running up and down the aisles to make sure they weren't trying to sneak into the airplane. He felt he would be shot if he came to the window. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
The captain, with one eye on his passenger, warned the agents to stay away from the plane. Soon afterwards, a shot rang out. So, nobody really knows what happened, but it's believed that Minichiello didn't mean to shoot.
He was running.
They think he was just, like, nervous and, like, he put a little bit too much pressure on the trigger. In his agitated state, just outside the cockpit door, he is thought to have nudged the trigger of his rifle with his finger. The bullet pierced the ceiling and glanced off an oxygen tank, but did not penetrate it or the plane's fuselage. Had it damaged the fuselage, the plane would not have been able to fly. Had it pierced the oxygen tank and caused an explosion, there was not going to be a plane, a crew, or anything. So even though the shot had apparently been fired by accident,
that drink must have been really good.
Yeah.
His gun's going off.
Probably didn't help that he had.
You ever had just your gun go off through a chair like that?
Look.
Like
Yes.
Drink,
yeah. Quite.
Next thing you know, your gun's going off.
But usually it's the opposite if you're doing whiskey.
Yeah.
That's why the term whiskey dicks there. Yeah. Usually
I'm talking about a gun.
Wait, what are you talking about?
Yeah, gun. Have you ever had your gun go off?
Oh no, I'm safe with it. No, I can handle my gun.
Okay.
Babe, cool. Where am I at?
I don't know. My house.
So even though the shot was apparently fired by accident, it sent shivers through the crew, and they were reminded that their lives were at stake. Captain Cook, who was sure the rifle had been fired on purpose, shouted at the agents through the window, chastising them and telling them that the plane was leaving immediately without refueling. 2 TWA captains of 24 years plus experience who were allowed to fly internationally, Billy Williams and Richard Hastings, pushed their way through the FBI agents and on the plane. Everyone else stayed on board. Cook would later say, "The FBI plan was damn near a prescription for getting the entire crew killed. We sat with that boy for 6 hours and had seen him go from practically a raving maniac to a fairly complacent and intelligent young man with a sense of humor. And then those idiots,
those jokes he had,
irresponsibly made up their own minds by how to handle this boy on the basis of no information, and the good faith we had built up for him for almost 6 hours was completely destroyed." I love that the pilot was just pissed at the FBI for being the fucking bumbling idiots that they are.
Call them out.
Those fucking idiots. The 2 new pilots, who were in no mood to humor the hijacker, took charge of the plane. Minichiello ordered everyone else to stay inside the cockpit with their hands on their heads. The plane took off quickly with nowhere near enough fuel on board to reach its intended destination of Rome.
Off-road now, yeah.
20 minutes after the plane had left New York with a bullet lodged in his roof, which I feel like could be bad, right? The tension on board had
a little
eased.
bubble gum over it.
Thanks largely to Cook convincing Minichiello that the crew had nothing to do with the chaos at Kennedy Airport. We're not with those fucking morons.
Yeah.
The events there meant the plane...
He was like humorous and stuff.
What is it?
Like they said, the pilot said he was almost a humorous young man, right?
Yeah.
So like I thought it was a scenario, like maybe he went in there, he's like, "My name's Jack." They're like, "Hi, Jack," and then they're like, "Ah!" They're like, seriously, it's Raffaele.
No, but seriously, I am hijacking.
but I am hijacking. They're like, "Ah!" And look at each other.
Ah!
Like, did you catch it?
Yes,
His name is Jack. I was like, "Hi, Jack."
What a
But
scam.
he's got a gun.
What a scam.
Yeah, he's humorous.
He's gonna kill all
That's
of
what I was thinking as you were reading that last part.
Hi, Jack. The events there meant the plane had been unable to refuel, so within the hour, they had landed again in the northeastern corner of the U.S. in Bangor, Maine, where it took on
Bangor,
Maine.
Banger, I barely know her.
Where it took on enough fuel to cross the Atlantic. By now, in the early afternoon, the story of the hijacking and the drama in New York had gained the full attention of the American media. Photographers and reporters turned out en masse at Bangor's airport terminal. Close to 75 police officers ensured the press stayed as far as possible from the plane in case the gunman was provoked again. You know, because you're the ones provoking him.
Yeah.
Hundreds of people had driven to the
airport.
airport.
100 mechanics, but no press.
Hundreds of people had driven to the airport to get a glimpse of the action, but they were kept a half a mile away from the terminal.
People have always been insane. Like, who here is like, there's a hijack? Like
you want to get in and see it?
Go to the airport? No.
I mean, what did you have planned to do?
Yeah.
Like, I know we got things to do, but like, you want to go? This might be a once-in-a-lifetime hijacking.
It's a hijacking.
Cook.
Maybe the plane will crash.
Oh, wait. From the plane, the hijacker spotted 2 people watching from a nearby building. Cook, eager to leave, radioed the control tower. "You would better hurry. He is going to start shooting at that building unless they get a move on." The 2 men quickly left. So they were apparently probably, like, maybe snipers or something. On board, as the plane headed towards international airspace, a sense of solidarity had begun to develop among those who'd been together for more than 9 hours. But under the surface, even as they tried to keep the hijacker happy, the crew did continue to fear for their lives. With the new pilots on board, Cook went to sit with Minichiello in the first-class compartment, where they swapped stories. Cook spoke of his time as an air traffic controller with the U.S. Air Force. With the rifle resting between them. At no point did the crew try to take it, mostly out of concern over how the hijacker might react.
Yeah. He might have another gun.
Minichiello repeatedly asked Cook if he was married. He replied that he was, despite being a bachelor. That seemed wiser, Cook said later. He had assumed a jittery man with a gun
Maybe he's going to take him in the bathroom.
Would be less likely to harm a married crew. He asked how many kids I had, and I said 1. 3
or 4, 2.
Then he asked about the other members of the crew, and I said, yeah, all of them are married. In fact, only one of those 4 were actually married. So he's telling, hey, remember how you're all married?
Yeah.
All of you?
All of you?
Because remember,
we're all married.
We remind each other sometimes.
Yeah.
Tracy Coleman, too, spent time chatting to Minichiello during the transatlantic trip. The first time she left the United States or flown for longer than 4 hours. He taught her card games, including solitaire, and he was, quote, a very easy fellow to talk to. She would later recall. She's fallen in love.
Yep.
Rule 1, babe.
Teach you cards.
He talked about his family moving to the U.S., and intriguingly, he said that he had a little military trouble after coming back to the States.
No, you don't say.
And just wanted to go home to Italy. She slept a little during the 6-hour flight from Bangor to Shannon on Ireland's west coast, where the airplane refueled once more in the middle of the night. Few others on board were able to sleep. Winslow Williams would say that most of them were way too keyed up for that shit. The only food on board was a handful of cupcakes left on the original flight.
You got a cupcake? I like that too. Cupcake, call people cupcake.
It is kind of like
it's been a big, heavy day for us.
Like where the pilot kind of said, like, we got a special boy here with his birthday. Like they got cupcakes for him, gin and whiskey. It's a good time. Food wasn't exactly much of an issue, Williams told the BBC. Having a gun pointed at us a good bit of the time kept most of those issues at bay. As TWA-85 crossed time zones on its approach to Ireland, and October 31st became November 1st, Minichiello turned 20. It was his birthday.
It was his birthday.
No one celebrated.
Happy birthday, cupcake!
Half an hour after landing in Ireland, TWA-85 was off again on the final stretch
I hope he did get those wings.
Of its 6,900-mile journey to Rome. TWA-85 circled Rome's
They made it to Rome?
Mm-hmm.
Holy fuck!
They circled Rome's Fiumicino airport early in the morning. Minichiello had one more demand. The plane was to be parked far from the terminal as he was to be met
Nobody watches I walk off.
As he was to be met by an unarmed police official. But the hijacking was nearing its end. 18 and a half hours after it had started over the skies of Central California. It was, the New York Times reported at the time, the world's longest and most spectacular hijacking.
Wow, good for him.
In the last few minutes of the flight, Williams said the hijacker offered to drive the crew to a hotel once they landed, and offer they politely declined. He's like, hey guys, I feel like we all became friends. Like, let me take you somewhere. Yeah. Let me take you out for a nice dinner.
We all got our spouses that all live in Rome.
All of us. Minichiello also feared the crew would be punished for not having stolen his gun when they had the opportunity. Quote, I've given you guys an awful lot of trouble. That's what he told Cook. And Cook replied, that's all right. We don't take it personally.
It happens.
Good times, bro.
Yeah.
At the airport, shortly after 5, a lone Alfa Romeo approached the plane. AR? Lone Alfa Romeo? I don't know what that means. But anyways, is that a car? Out of it emerged Pietro Gulli, a deputy customs official who had volunteered to meet the hijacker. He walked up the steps of the plane with his hands up, and Minichiello emerged to meet him. So long, Don, the hijacker told the captain as he left. I'm sorry I caused you all this trouble. Minichiello noted Cook's address in Kansas City so he could later write to him and explain why this happened.
Oh, nice.
The two men walked down the steps towards the car, Minichiello still holding his rifle, and the 6 people on the board feeling relief. They were free again, but they all hoped the next stage of the hijacking would end safely for both Minichiello and his new hostage. After Los Angeles, Denver, New York, Bangor, Shannon, and Rome, there was only one destination now.
I've been everywhere, man.
I've been everywhere, man.
From Denver to
Parkersburg to Denver.
I was going to do those cities. Bangor and Rome.
From Los Angeles, Denver, New York, I don't know. Take me to Naples, Minichiello ordered Pietro.
It sounded like nipples.
He was heading home.
Yeah.
I'm heading home.
That's Naples.
4 police cars trailed the Alfa Romeo, and the officers' voices crackled over the hostage's radio. Minichiello, sitting in the back seat, switched off the radio and gave his hostage directions on where to go. In the countryside, about 6 miles from the center of Rome, having somehow evaded the pursuing cars, the Alfa Romeo traveled down lanes that became ever more narrow. Eventually, it reached a dead end, and both men stepped out of the car. Realizing he had few options left, Minichiello sprinted away and he stopped running, which is great.
At least point, what's that? Oh my God, what's that over there? And bam, bro.
23 hours after the flight had left Los Angeles, Minichiello's journey came to an end. It did so only because of the publicity the hijacking had generated. Over 5 hours in the hills around Rome, hundreds of police officers, some with dogs and helicopters, led the search for the hijacker. But in the end, he was found by a priest. On Saturday, November 1st, All Saints Day, the sanctuary...
What did the priest do on Halloween?
The sanctuary of divine love was full for a morning mass. Among the well-dressed congregation, the young man in his vest and undershorts stood out. Minichiello had sought shelter at the church after shedding his military clothes and stashing his gun in a barn. But his face was now famous, and Don Pasquale Sila recognized him. When the police finally surrounded Minichiello outside the church, he expressed bemusement, interpreted by reporters as the arrogance of a young criminal, that his countrymen might want to detain him. "Paisa, my people, why are you arresting me?" he asked. He employed the same tone hours later while speaking to reporters, his hands free of the cuffs after a brief interrogation in a Rome police station. "Why did you do it?" one reporter asked. "Why did I do it?" he replied. "I don't know." When another asked him about the hijacked plane, he replied in a perplexed tone, "What plane? I don't know what you're talking about."
Oh, playing that game.
What, the plane? But in another interview, he revealed the real reasons for the hijacking. As news of Minichiello's arrest spread around the world later that day, Otis Turner sat down for breakfast in the mess of his Marine barracks in California. The television in the corner was relaying the details of the daring hijack and the manhunt in the Italian countryside.
Hijack.
Turner later told the BBC, "Then they flashed up Raffaele's picture. I was floored, absolutely floored. The two men had served in the same platoon in Vietnam."
Dang.
"I was confused at first," Turner said, "but when I really got to thinking about it, I knew he had some issues and it all came together. When the hijacking happened, it was 4.5 years since U.S. combat forces had first landed in Vietnam, and the fall of Saigon was still more than 5 years away. The U.S. would leave Vietnam having completely failed in its mission, leaving more than 58,000 American service personnel and millions of Vietnamese, both combatants and civilians, dead. Opposition in the U.S. to the war was at its peak in late 1969. An estimated 2 million people across the U.S. had taken part in the moratorium to end the war in Vietnam, reported as the biggest demonstration in American history, 2 weeks before the hijacking. The lottery drafting young Americans to fight was still a month away from being enforced, but many thousands of young men had already volunteered, believing back then that the cause to fight the communists of North Vietnam was valid. Raffaele Minichiello was one of those who had volunteered. In May 1967, the 17-year-old had left his home in Seattle. He traveled to San Diego to enlist in the Marine Corps. And
17!
17.
Ah!
And for those who knew him, a little stubborn, a little gung-ho, it wasn't a surprise. Minichiello hardly spoke English, and he had been teased for his thick Neapolitan accent by his classmates before dropping out of school altogether.
That's good ice cream.
It is. Doing so had brought an end to his ambitions of being a commercial pilot. That's what he wanted to be.
Oh.
But he was proud of his adopted country and was willing to fight for it in the hopes it would make him a naturalized American citizen. Otis Turner had arrived in Vietnam about the same time as Minichiello, and they served in different squads in the same Marine platoon. They were grunts. The men dropped onto the jungle-cloaked hills of the front lines for a few months at a time to fight the communist forces. Turner said, "Anybody will tell you the grunts had the toughest job in the Marine Corps. We were in 120-degree weather in monsoon season." In 2019, Turner looked back with some shame at what they were ordered to do and how they complied. The mission was brutally simple. From the time we joined the Marine Corps, we were basically all about kill, kill, kill. That's all they wanted us to do. They drilled that into us from the beginning. So Minichiello's role brought him into firefights that killed close friends and led him to save others who were in danger. He was awarded the Cross of Gallantry, which was given out by the government of South Vietnam to those who displayed heroic conduct in the war.
Vietnam.
So he got a award from the So wait, South Vietnam? I think they were allied. I think because that was the whole. Yeah.
Okay.
Adding to the daily life back in the U.S. adjusting back to regular life in the U.S. proved impossible. Turner would say that there was just no staging area to regroup to or get your mind and body back working as one unit. There was no period there just to break it all down and think about what you had just done or to go see a professional for help. There were a lot of sick people, confused people. Raphael was in the same state. All of us were confused when we left Vietnam. Turner said most members of his and Minichiello's platoon, including himself, went on to be diagnosed with PTSD. The U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs estimates that up to 30% of all of those who served in Vietnam have suffered PTSD at some point in their lives. About 810,000 people. Raffaele Minichiello would not be diagnosed until 2008. He remains ineligible for treatment, having received a less than honorable discharge. Ineligible for treatment.
We'll put him to Vietnam.
Tracked down by reporters near Naples, Minichiello's father, who was by then suffering from terminal cancer and had returned to Italy, knew immediately what had caused his son to hijack the plane. Quote, the war must have provoked a state of shock in his mind. Before that, his dad's name is Luigi Minichiello.
Oh!
Tying it all back in.
His brother's name is...
Waluigi.
Thomas.
Mario. Antonio.
Ben. Thomas.
Before that, he was always sane. Another reason for his dad did promise that the next time I see him, I'm going to clip him around the ear.
Oh, I got something for you, boy.
Another reason for the hijacking soon emerged. While in Vietnam, Minichiello had been sending money to Marine Savings Fund. Hey, Luigi. He had collected $800, but when he returned to base in Camp Pendleton, California, he noticed there was only $600 in his account. It was not enough to pay for a visit to Italy to see his dying father.
Oh.
Minichiello raised his concerns with his superiors and insisted that he be given the $200 he felt he was owed. His superiors didn't listen and dismissed his complaint. And so Minichiello took matters into his own hands.
He hijacked the plane?
Yep. One night, though, he broke into a store on the base and stole $200 worth of goods.
Oh.
Like, fuck you guys. Unfortunately for him, he did so after drinking 8 beers, and he fell asleep inside the store.
You don't fall in love, and you don't fall asleep.
Not in the place. You don't sleep where you rob. He was caught the next morning. The day before he hijacked TW-85, he'd been due to appear before a court-martial in Camp Pendleton, but fearing prison, he went AWOL and traveled to Los Angeles. With him, he took a Chinese rifle he had registered as a war trophy in Vietnam. Against the odds, Minichiello would become a folk hero in Italy, where he was portrayed not as a troubled gunman who had threatened a plane load of passengers, but as a fresh-faced Italian boy who would do anything to return to his motherland.
You're real Minichiello.
He's a good boy. He's a good Italian boy. He faced trial in Italy. The authorities there insisted on this within hours of his arrest. It would not face extradition to the U.S., where he could have faced the death penalty.
Ooh.
At this trial, his lawyer, Giuseppe Saggiui, portrayed Minichiello as a poor victim. The poor Italian victim of an unconscionable foreign war. I am sure that Italian judges will understand and forgive an act born from a civilization of aircraft and war violence, a civilization which overwhelmed this uncultured peasant.
He didn't hurt anybody.
He was prosecuted in Italy only for crimes committed in Italian airspace and sentenced to 7.5 years in prison. That sentence was quickly reduced on appeal, and he was released on May 1st, 1971. Wearing a brown suit, the 21-year-old stepped out of the Queen of Heaven prison near the Vatican to face crowds of photographers and cameramen, occasionally overawed by the attention and breaking into a smile that flitted from nervousness to cockiness. He stopped to speak to reporters. They asked, "Are you sorry for what you did?" Grinning, he replied, "Why should I be?" But after that, an array of prospects came to nothing. He was offered to be a nude model. He turned that down.
Yeah, I would.
And a promise by a film producer to turn Minichiello into a spaghetti western star. For years, rumors swirled that the character John Rambo was based on Minichiello. After all, Rambo was decorated but misunderstood Vietnam vet. But the man who created Rambo said that's not. Yeah, no. In the years after prison, Minichiello settled in Rome, where he worked as a bartender. He married the bar owner's daughter, Cinzia, with whom he had a son. At one point, he also owned a pizza restaurant named Hijacking.
Oh, that's kind of the life right there.
The earthquake that had destroyed Raffaele Minichiello's...
If you don't eat your pizza in 30 minutes, they've been hijacked. You're probably dead. You better call back.
You better go check room.
You have to pay for it, but just so you know, if it's longer than a half hour, come on.
So, the earthquake that had destroyed his home in 1962, 18 years later, a 6.9 earthquake struck southern Italy about 20 miles from the one in 1962. It was the most powerful earthquake to strike Italy in 70 years, causing enormous damage. Up to 4,609 people were killed and 20,000 homes, many of them in a weakened state. After the 62 earthquake was destroyed, soon afterwards, Italians began arriving in large groups of the region east of Naples to distribute aid. Among them was Raffaele Minichiello.
Oh.
The 31-year-old was still living in Rome at the time, but had felt compelled to make the 300-mile trip home 3 times in only 2 weeks to deliver aid. I know all about earthquakes in Irpinia, he told an interviewer from People magazine. That is where I was born, and that is where all my troubles began. His distrust of authority, forested during his time in the Marines, had stayed with him. He says, I mistrust institutions, so I give help personally. I know all about people who don't keep their promises. Minichiello was recognized among the snowy ruins of Irpinia, but he was not quite the minor celebrity he had been 11 years earlier. At that time, his image, slick curled hair, cigarette in his right hand, casual smirk in his face.
Cool as
How could
fuck.
you not fall in love with that guy?
Cool as fuck.
It had been on the front covers of magazines around the world. In the post-earthquake ruins, a more repentant Minichiello began to emerge. He said, I'm very different now to who I was. I'm sorry for what I did to those people on the plane.
If you're the same person at 35 that you were at 20, you're worse than the hijack.
In February of 85, Cinzia was pregnant with the couple's second child. After being admitted to a hospital in labor, she and her newborn son died as a result of medical malpractice. Minichiello, feeling angry and let down by the authorities, again knew what he needed to do.
Hijacking plane.
He would target a prominent medical conference outside Rome and draw attention to the negligence that had cost his wife and son their lives. He arranged via an acquaintance to acquire guns with which he would launch a violent revenge attack. While he plotted, Minichiello...
He didn't learn at all. I mean, he's raw. He's emotional.
He struck up...
I get it.
...a friendship with a young colleague, Tony, who sensed his distress. Tony introduced him to the Bible and read him passages out loud.
All right, stop this story. We're done.
Minichiello listened and over time decided to devote his life to God. He called off his attack.
All right.
In 1999, Minichiello decided to return to the United States for the first time since the hijacking. He had learned earlier that there was no outstanding criminal charges against him in the U.S., but his decision to basically flee the country was not entirely without consequence. Because he had fled a court-martial, he was given what is known as other than honorable discharge by the Marines. As his platoon worked to clear his name, though, Minichiello asked them to help with another mission, finding those who were on board TWA 85 so he could apologize.
Oh.
By the summer of 2009, Charlene DeMonico had been retired for more than 8 years after spending her entire 35-year career as a flight attendant with TWA. Within a year of her retirement in January 2001, the airline no longer existed after falling into bankruptcy and being taken over by American Airlines. Out of the blue, DeMonico received an invitation. Would she be willing to meet the man who had once held her up at gunpoint?
I'm good.
You think you're all right?
Thanks.
The invitation had come from Otis Turner and other members of Raphael's platoon. She said, I thought the idea was kind of crazy, but I got thinking and I thought, why not?
It would be funny if she took a gun.
DeMonico's
hostage now, bitch.
DeMonico's first reaction to the invitation was shock. The hijacking had defined her life and reshaped it. Why would she want to meet the man who had once put a gun against her back? Her second reaction as a churchgoer was different.
Well,
I was kind of surprised, she told the BBC, and I had a strange feeling
this is going to be a God story. Bro.
This was something that had happened that was very, very scary and nerve-wracking. It really did get to me. Then I thought, we're taught to forgive, but I didn't know how to receive them.
WWJD.
In August 2009, DeMonico traveled the almost 150 miles from her home to Branson, Missouri. Where
she had to travel too.
Yeah.
Like if you're coming to me if we're meeting.
Well,
she had to get on a plane to go meet her fucking hostage.
Her hijacker. Yeah. Well, she was going there because that's where Minichiello and his former platoon were holding a reunion.
Wow.
There she met Winslow Williams, the first officer on TW-85, who was the only other person to accept the offer to meet Minichiello. Captain Cook had refused, a gesture that hurt Minichiello, who believed that he had developed a bond with the captain.
Come on!
In a side room at the Clarion Hotel, Williams and DeMonico sat at a round table with the platoon members.
Hijacked the hotel, got the main
The former soldiers presented them with a letter expressing what they hoped could be achieved through the meeting. Their obvious support for Minichiello convinced DeMonico that they felt that this man was worth fighting for. After some time, Minichiello walked in and sat down. The atmosphere remained tense for a while, but as more questions flowed and Minichiello began to explain what had happened to him, the group grew closer. Minichiello seemed different to Williams, smaller, more softly spoken.
Didn't have a gun.
He appeared weighed down by his guilt as he relived the hijacking, but his remorse appeared sincere. DeMonico said, "In a way, I got a little closure, seeing it from a different viewpoint, and I probably felt sorry for him. I thought he was very polite, but he was always polite." Before they left, Minichiello handed them both a copy of the New Testament. Inside, he had written, "Thank you so much for your time. So much.
Oh, did you shoot me?
I appreciate your forgiveness for my actions that put you in harm's way. Please accept this book that has changed my life. God bless you so much. Raffaele Minichiello." Raffaele Minichiello now.
I wonder where those books are now, though.
Where the Bibles are?
Yeah, I want to get one of those Bibles.
You can find them.
There's only 2 of them.
Raffaele Minichiello now?
Yeah.
You can find him on YouTube.
Oh, wow.
He has his own YouTube channel where he plays the accordion.
I was like, he said he was on YouTube, and like in my head, I was like, does he just talk about the hijack the whole time, talk about Jesus? But I mean, just accordion.
Oh, Mamma Mia.
Oh shit! He's not gonna like that. He's gonna come hijack us.
Oh yeah. So that's
hijack is when you masturbate in the bathroom now. On a plane. That's what they call that.
Yeah.
The Mile High Club.
Did you join the Mile High Club?
No.
Mm.
I don't believe
How did you even? How?
I don't know.
So that's the story of.
That's our next episode, though.
No, we already know our next story. Delmonico's Halloween party.
The Halloween party.
So yeah, for no reason whatsoever, I decided to tell a story about a Italian man that had been unjustly fucked.
Yeah, the government didn't kind of fuck him.
I mean, the whole, he's $200 short, even though he sent $800. Somehow it's $200 short, and he needs that money to go see his dying fucking family member.
His dad.
And they're like, nah, fuck you. We know you went over there and did some shit.
You can't do anything else.
Could have been killed, but fuck you. So.
But fuck you.
But fuck you.
But fuck you.
But a fuka. So that's the story of, him.
Good story.
We won't really get into the Luigi Mangione saga, but hey,
live and let live. Unless you
decide not to.
I'll get into this.
Oh,
the book that we got today. Do you want to read the book title?
So you've got a fat pussy.
Look on the back. More.
So, you've got a fat pussy.
But it's about cats. So get your minds out together. It's from 1981. It's about cats. I spent $3 on it, and one just sold for $35. So I'm riding that high of buying something so cheap.
So it's all about dieting?
There's some stuff in the back, like what if your pussy gets irritable? A couple of the last pages, but most of it's about dieting. Yeah, because it's about fat pussies.
Yeah, what to do with a pussy who cheats?
Yeah, on the diet, I think.
Okay.
The cat. What if the cat cheats on the diet?
I got you. Well, apparently you run it over.
Luckily, as you guys probably saw, lose a regular size pussy, I'd say.
Wait, is this who's the Ira Alterman, illustrated by Marty Riskin. The illustrations look super familiar.
Yeah, it's a pretty good book.
All
We
right.
went to the flea market.
We both got a very cool Eddie George Heisman Trophy.
Yeah. That guy couldn't believe it.
Mm-mm.
He sold it after we already bought it. We're like, buddy, you got your money.
Yeah, quit selling us, buddy.
Yeah. And then I got Freeway sealed.
It's pretty
in
cool.
Amityville too.
Yeah.
I have 1 and 3.
And then this is a bottle of water.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
I threw mine.
The Serpentor's so cool.
I threw mine. There was a Serpentor.
Joel nerded out in the toy department. Real bad.
Oh, the other day I was thinking about that time we were in Ravenswood. The guy's like, there's actually 2 of them. And I turned to you, remember? I was like, 2? We were at that gas station there.
Oh,
we were
the
like,
thrift
like,
stores?
there's 2 antique
Oh,
stores.
when I almost died at the one?
Yeah.
Okay, when I almost had my foot chopped off.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were... My God, I wish I'd recorded that.
Because I think that's like that. Probably the happiest I've ever
Yeah, that
been.
gas station guy is like, there's actually 2 up there. And you
turned to you like, did you hear that too?
you were so excited. And then they both were pretty terrible.
Yeah, I don't think we
Yeah.
found anything.
Sorry, Ravenswood.
Ripley.
Was it Ripley or Ravenswood?
Ripley, they're the
It's
same.
Terrible.
Small town, USA, West Virginia.
Cool Christian Laettner card that they hadn't taken care of, so it was all yellow and gross.
Yep, see? It's all coming back to us now.
Yeah. All right. Well, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, all of that stuff. Did you have a good Thanksgiving?
No.
Just a Thanksgiving?
Yeah, there's 8.
Yeah, me
I
too.
had paid days off for work.
Did you get sleepy after you ate turkey?
No.
I did.
Surprisingly,
I ate so much. I ended up doing Thanksgiving on Friday, and I ate so much fucking turkey. Like there was like that whole weekend. There's a chemical in turkey, right?
Oh yeah, meth.
Yeah, no.
Oh, that's what I was on.
I was so tired that whole weekend, but yeah.
You think about me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, pretty often. All the time.
All right.
What am I not?
Right, pull it back.
What am I not thinking about? You?
That's
Come on, babe.
Come on, babe.
So let's see. Browns still losing.
Yep. They got a new hoodie.
Even after Jameis prayed. Well, I guess he prayed for no pick sixes, and he didn't throw any of
He
those.
didn't throw any pick sixes.
He should have probably just
They
said,
threw
like,
some interceptions, but they didn't.
can I not have any interceptions?
Yeah.
In general, because that could have covered all of
They
them.
didn't pray for wins.
Yeah, they're not going to get those.
Yeah. Right.
They got the Steelers, I think, 2 more times or just 1 more time?
No, they're done with the Steelers. They have like Ravens, Kansas City. Yeah.
Oh, okay. They're done with Steelers now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they beat them in the snow game, and then the Steelers beat them pretty handily.
Yeah.
I saw where Jameis Winston said, well, I felt like we beat ourselves.
No, they had something to do with it too. Yeah, they were definitely
I
part
got
of
to
it.
whoop you.
All right. Well, yeah. Hope you guys have a good holidays. Get everything you want. Santa comes and visits. We'll be back next time with the story of Charlene DeMonico's Halloween night.
Oh, yeah. That'll be good.
All right. Bye.
Bye.